Alrighty, we got game one here of a match between crabcat2 and Yurikamome for the Grand Market Grand Prix. Still in the preliminary stages, these matches will determine who make it to the elimination bracket. What are we looking at here? This looks really strong. Bridge cost reduction is really powerful. You got villages with Cursed Village and eventually maybe Paddock. Good thinning with Goat from Pixie, as well as Sanctuary. Stonemason makes gaining cards very easy. I would expect this to be a relatively fast bridge engine that ends in a pile out. So crabcat opens Bridge Pixie. Makes sense. I actually don't really see any alternatives. I would expect Yurikamome to do the same. Silver is not a card you really want all that badly in this deck. Obviously, you don't need the money super much with Bridge around, and Silver doesn't mix too well with Draw to X cards like Cursed Village because you can't play it until the buy phase, whereas Action-based Payload you can play early on. And, uh-oh, it sounds like my dogs are fighting. Did you? No. Alrighty, younger dog is now taking a timeout. So where do we stand? I like this play from crabcat. Normally, Sun's Gift is a pretty low impact boon. Just discarding stuff is not usually the best thing you can do with it. You're often looking for Swamp's Gift or Forest or Earth Gift. Flames Gift sometimes can be good early on. But what we see here is crabcat got the Bridge as well as the Goat, the two best cards in their deck, in their turn 3 hand, which means they know those next cards coming up for their turn 4 hand are all junk. So popping the Pixie and discarding them all means they're going to get back around to the Bridge and the Goat faster, potentially play them again turn 4. As a matter of fact, they do. What about Yurikamome's hand? They got Moon Gift, which is just the worst. It's an absolute worst boon, like 98% of the time. There's never things in your discard that you want to top deck. Just so rare. It's like Harbinger, but worse. Like you have to kill a card that could potentially be a draw card or a trasher to get a one-shot Harbinger effect. So I'm inclined to say crabcat2 here is pretty ahead as of this point in the game, both being player 1 and also having the much nicer turn 3 draw. Oh no! Oh, that's tragic. So, Cursed Village has this annoying tendency to kill itself. Normally, the way that happens is with Locusts, the other hex, where if you've drawn your deck and you buy Locusts, well, then the only card left in your discard is going to be the Cursed Village that you just bought. I don't think I phrased that right. If you buy Cursed Village and get Locusts, then Cursed Village is going to be the only card in your discard. And so it's going to hex itself, kill itself, and then you get to gain like a cheaper card, like in this Kingdom, Bridge or Poacher or something. Normally, Cursed Village can't be hit by War because it does not cost 3 to 4. But poor Yurikamome here had a Bridge in play that reduced Cursed Village cost to 4, meaning that Hex targeted the Cursed Village and killed it. That's so sad. Cursed Village would be a much more pleasant card if not for the random nature of the hexing. Sometimes the hexes don't hurt at all. Like, usually, you're really happy to get the discard attacks when buying Cursed Village, like Fear, or Haunting, or Poverty. Because if you're buying at the end of your turn, you already played all your cards, the discard attack's not going to hurt you at that phase of your turn. And so some of the hexes have like 0 impact. Some of the hexes are just like, you just bought the Cursed Village, JK, no you didn't, and it kills itself immediately. And then sometimes some of them can hurt a lot, like in No Trashing Kingdoms, getting Greed, which is the copper attack, or Plague, which is the curse attack, can also hurt. So yeah, I strongly suspect crabcat's going to win this one, just on account of the very different sorts of draws they're getting here. Sky's Gift looks pretty useless to me. Gold is not valuable. Discarding all your treasure is going to hurt you this turn, which is bad. I would expect crabcat to get a second bridge this turn, most likely. You could also consider maybe a kiln as a way to gain cards. How much money do they have? So you could like trash a copper and then buy Stonemason for kiln plus Cursed Village. And that would give you enough villages to play kiln, play bridge, gain bridge, play the bridge that you just gained via kiln in the same turn. That could be nice. Yeah, looks like they're probably going for that. They might also be intending to kiln the Cursed Village, which is also not unreasonable. Especially if, for example, they got like Earth's Gift, for example, and were able to gain some bridges mid-turn. I think barring such a boon, I would kiln the bridge. Meanwhile, Yurikamome's deck continues to do nothing. Sad. Both of these players were in the championships last year, I believe. Oh wait, were they? Maybe I'm mixing it up with Tournament Big Money. Yurikamome was in Tournament Big Money, and crabcat2 is in the championships. But I'm not sure Yurikamome actually competed in the championships. I have to look that up. Japan did have an unfortunately poor showing in that tournament last year. I'm pretty sure all the Japanese players who competed were knocked out relatively early, which I think was Yurikamome, Cider01, and I feel like that's the third one. Maybe it was just the two. In any case, the later elimination rounds didn't include any folks from Japan, but they also had fewer people competing. This year, Grand Market Grand Prix, which is the sequel to Tournament Big Money, I think has a lot more Japanese players competing. Now you also got Pop 180, Silly Potter, Chashu. I think Zangatsu is competing. A bunch more of them. And so probably more likely to see some of them make it far. Udai might be in it. I have to go look at the standings. Yeah, unfortunately, I think this game's already over. Just a matter of how long Yuri wants to wait before clicking the resign button. Okay, so I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Japanese players amongst the 32. Ones I forgot were Xiami 4, Kazumaru, and I think I named the rest of them. What do you buy here is crabcat. I mean, most combinations of buys have got to be winning. I would think about taking the last few cursed villages. I'd just be checking whether or not my opponent could pile out, and I think the answer is no. How many games do they have? At least 3 of the bridges are in crabcat's deck, as is the sanctuary. So I don't think Yurikamome has that many buys. And, for example, if Yurikamome were to play both of their bridges, I'm not even sure they have 2 bridges. They have at most 2 and at minimum 1. But in any case, if they were to play 2 bridges, you couldn't actually gain pixies very effectively via stonemason, because you have to overpay for stonemason, and overpaying by 0 actually does not count as overpaying. And so if you reduce pixies cost to 0, you can't use stonemason's effect to gain 2 pixies. And so emptying stonemason and pixie is a little bit awkward. You could go for a stonemason bridge, though. I don't think that their deck's going to get anywhere here. I don't think Yurikamome played this badly. I just think that they had somewhat bad luck, and crabcat had very good luck. On top of the player 1 advantage in a very strong kingdom. I think they were just kind of dead in the water from the get-go. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I would fully expect crabcat2 to win this turn. It seems exceedingly likely to me. The fact that they exiled the curse rather than stonemasoning it, I think, is further indication that they're looking for a win. Because it probably means they want to use the stonemason to gain 2 of some card or other. E.g., you could turn 2 cursed villages into 2 bridges if you want to. Sorry, 1 cursed villager into 2 bridges via stonemason. Or a bridge into 2 pixies also looks good. So to pile out here, they only need 4 money and 2... Oh, there's another way to do it. I was thinking you just put 1 bridge in play, and then buy stonemason for 1, overpay by 1 more to take a pixie, then buy stonemason for 1, overpay by 1 more to take stonemasons, and that would take 4 money and 2 buys, which they were very close to having already. They're doing it via stonemason gains, which also makes sense. There's probably a decent number of different pilots that were available here. They could have gone for bridges instead if they wanted to. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised if with the right draws they could 4-pile this. And just empty all of those plus the bridges. Alright, game 1 to crabcat. Pretty fast game, 8 turns. But it is crabcat's turn to go second. Okay, this looks like another strong one. There's a lot going on here. The only real draw is council room. I mean, technically you could draw with like settlers or bustling villages effects, but it's not very strong. Council room looks a lot better. You got trashing with Bat, which you can get via Vampire or Trading Post or Bonfire as well. Plenty of plus buy with Council Room, Workers Village. Action is Workers Village or maybe Bustling Village if it gets uncovered. Conspirator's good payload, as is Market Square to gain golds. Fairy is nice with plus buy, and there's abundant plus buy. So I would expect this kingdom to be pretty strong. Now, how do you open? I'm not sure. In the abstract, Vampire looks like the card I'd really want in the opening. The downside is you can't get it as effectively as some of the like second best cards. I'm thinking about on the 3-4 or the 4-3, which Yurikamome has, just Fairy Trading Post, buy Trading Post. As crabcat2, who has the 2-5, I would just buy the Vampire. Now, the main reason I would take Trading Post is Yurikamome is just because you can get it in your first reshuffle, whereas you can't get Vampire in your first reshuffle because Fury is not going to be able to work on Vampire since it's not an action. As Crabcat, I think I would open for sure Vampire, and Settlers or Seller both seem reasonable. Settlers is in the abstract a better card. Seller could help in the short term, getting to your Vampire more quickly and playing it. I think I would open Vampire Seller if I were crabcat2. And as Yurikamome, probably just Fairy Trading Post, buy Trading Post. But there's a lot more to think about, I think, at the very least, on the 4-3 or 3-4. You could Fairy Council Room and buy Council Room, hope you find it turn 3, and then buy Vampire, and you've triggered a shuffle. That doesn't sound bad. You get like Bonfire and then buy a Skulk or something. Also sounds not bad. Okay, they've gone for the Council Room line. I think that seems totally fine. And Crabcat goes for Stellar Vampire. Yeah. Yurikamome does not get the good draw. The good draw, which they had a 5-6 chance, not a 5-6, a 5/11th chance of getting, was Council Room in the turn 3 hand. Market Square now? That's an interesting proposition. I assume the idea of the Market Square is if you draw it, you could buy Bonfire, and even if you've drawn it dead with Council Room, you could still activate it and get a gold that way. I had in mind getting a Vampire on turn 4 as Yurikamome, which inclines me away from the Market Square, but they've gone with it anyway. We'll see. I think you continue with the Vampire plan, which I'm assuming was the plan. I think that's more important than getting the gold this turn. Yurikamome's deck is just they're not having the good draws. I empathize with them. Council Room is one of those cards that's just like, it's a lot nicer if you find it at the top of your shuffle than the bottom of your shuffle, because then you trigger a shuffle and you get to do all the stuff over again next turn. And they keep bottom deck in their count, or not bottom deck like miss it entirely, but it's in the bottom half of their deck. Double Bonfire. Yeah, trash 4 coppers and get a gold, and then maybe get the Vampire next turn. I could totally see that, yeah. Yeah, let's see. What are their odds of hitting 6? Their turn 3 hand, they had... Well, so they would have to hit 6 and also find the Market Square, right, for that to work? So, they had 6 cards left in their deck, which were Council Room, 4 coppers, Estate. And they were going to draw 3 additional ones off the top. So they would have to draw precisely Market Square, 2 coppers, and then bottom deck 2 estates and a copper. Not like vanishingly rare, but relatively unlikely. In any case, Crabcat does kind of look to be in the lead again. They're already about to trash with Bat and get back to the Vampire. Ferry on Market Square by Market Square. Seems fine to me. So yeah, crabcat's starting to get their deck under control, and now they're thinking about payload. They're going to get Market Square and gain some golds that way. I think an ideal turn for crabcat on this upcoming turn would be like buy another workers village, buy a bonfire. Do they have enough money for that? Maybe have they already bonfired once? Okay, they don't even have enough money for that. They've trashed 2 coppers already. In that case, just bonfire, double Market Square. Yep. That locust did not hurt. In fact, might have even helped. Probably helped. Turning a copper into a curse doesn't really matter much when, you're just going to trash either of them anyway. But it does get a copper off the top of your deck, which is nice. And it lets them activate the Market Square, which might be nice. If they were going to activate Market Square with Bat anyway, it might not make any difference. But one benefit, potentially, of activating it this way instead of with Bat is that you have some chance to draw back around to it and either play it again or play the gold. Yeah, so it's going to let them get 2 golds off of the same Market Square in one turn. Surely we're putting all the coppers into play. There's no reason to trash the coppers with Bat when you can trash a state or curse. Yeah. What are we buying? Bonfire double workers village? Bonfire Market Square? You could try denying the village pile. That could do something. I'm not sure exactly how many villages you need. Like, I definitely would not be sad if I lost the village split 4-6. The only thing I really need to spend the village on is council room for the most part. And I don't need more than 5 council rooms to draw my deck. 4 villages could support 5 council rooms. If you manage to get like 8 of them, that would be really painful. 7 might hurt as well. I'm pretty sure you want a bonfire here as Yurikamome. Maybe he doesn't. Okay, yeah. I guess the bonfire is actually not important. I like this line better than what I was thinking of. I just honestly totally forgot for a moment that they were going to be able to activate the Market Square either way off of the bat. I was thinking you needed a bonfire to make Market Square work. Yeah, that's just a better line, I think. I'm not really convinced that you need to ferry the Market Squares, though. Like, how many Market Squares do you need? I think you could keep the token where it is and just, like, buy a Market Square. Like, both Market Square and Workers' Village are spammable plus buy. And, like, 2 or 3 Market Squares might be good for getting a lot of golds, but you don't need super many. So what are we buying here as crabcat? That's something I was just thinking about, Marcuson. I I'm not even sure how important Conspirator is, to be honest. Like, it's really good payload, I think, for these decks. Conspirator is just nice payload when you can activate it reliably. And with a bunch of cantrips, activating it is not going to be very hard. On the other hand, you're also getting basically free golds all the time, which might be some reason not to care super much about Conspirator. So I'm not confident how much Conspirator will matter. It might not. I mean, is crabcat2... It appears I'm about to add 3 golds to my deck, so I do want to make sure I can draw that. That could mean Fairy Council Room by Council Room. It could mean Bonfire 2 Coppers. I worry about crabcat's ability to draw this. I mean, if they find Council Room on top, they're probably still fine. Oh, and their opponent's Council Room is going to help them out. I guess that should be enough to guarantee that they draw. So I assume Yuri will take a 3rd Council Room off the Vampire. They've got 10 money to work with. You could buy 3 Market Squares, move the token back over to Workers' Village, and buy 2 Workers' Villages. That might just be more Market Squares than you have any use for. You could Bonfire 2 Coppers, move the token back to Workers' Village and buy Workers' Village. My guess is they're not moving it back to Workers' Village because they took it off before. I don't think they should have even moved it in the first place. And so I'm thinking about moving it back. But my guess is they probably aren't going to, because if they were going to, they would have just left it there. But who knows? Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Yeah, a Bonfire looks real likely. So, Bonfire double Workers' Village sounds good. I mean, if they wanted to be real aggressive, they could do Bonfire double Conspirator. I'm a little worried about drawing, but the opponent's Council Rooms actually make it real easy to line up the stuff you need in a deck like this. So maybe you get greedy, and instead of taking more villages now, you just take 2 Conspirators for lots and lots of cash. I think I would take the safer line. I think for me it's Bonfire, Fairy Workers Village, buy 2 of those, and then take a Council Room. I think the Conspirator line is the other reasonable one. I'm not sure what other things they might be considering. The fact that they put the Fairy token on the Market Square previously, I think that was a mistake, because I don't think they need super many Market Squares, but yeah, that's what I was about to say. But it suggests to me that they wanted to buy a lot of Market Squares even on future turns. And so I was about to say it wouldn't surprise me if they bought more market squares here, but I'm kind of feeling like that's an error. You don't need this much plus buy. It's nice for pile pressure and all, but I'd rather have a strong deck with a still pretty darn large amount of plus buy. I'm not a fan of that line, Haka. I mean, it's not bad or anything, but I don't think the market squares are all that necessary. Why did... Oh, that's why crabcat said youch. Crabcat nutted. Okay, well, that's actually really big. If Yuri can draw here, they might actually now be ahead. Like a dud here, I think, is pretty substantial. Not that it's a horrible dud. They're still looking at 15 money and a vampire in hand. But it is a dud. I don't think Yuri can pile next turn. That's a lot of gains. So what are we doing here as crabcat? Do they have enough buys for it? They might. Yeah, 12 would cover the number of buys you need. Let's see. So Yuri has 3 council rooms, 3 workers. What all do they buy? They bought. So they have 4 workers' villages now. I think 4 workers' villages, 3 council rooms. That's 8 total buys, plus however many market squares they have. Do they have 4 market squares? That would be 12. They don't have a vampire at the moment. How much would piling out cost them? So market squares cost 2, and then workers' villages cost 11, and then council rooms cost 18. So add that together, 31 money. I don't think they have 31 money. Maybe. I don't think they have that though. I expect Yuri to draw here. They're gonna get to see 8 of their cards at least by playing market square and then discarding 4 cards to the seller if they draw a dud card. So I think it's still pretty likely that Yuri draws, but definitely not a sure thing from the starting hand. So crabcat is either thinking very hard here or just wallowing in misery at their hex, which ironically in this case was not misery. Does seller look like a weird floating orb to anyone else? I'm not exactly seeing it, but I can see how you might think that. It does look like an outlet, like an electric outlet, the North American style at least. like on a wall. I agree with Halo Andy's characterization. Ah, there's Misery, which I don't think actually hurts very much. So Crabcat lowered piles there a good bit by buying both a workers' village and a council room. And they also got a trading post. So how much does that reduce it? We said 31 a second ago. I think... So that lowers it by 5, but Yuri also now has to score points, which an estate would cost 2. So I think it would still cost like 28 money to pile out here. And it doesn't look like they're there. They're looking at 17 money. So they're a little bit shy of the pile out. My guess is the purpose of the trading post is to be able to gain golds mid-turn and draw them back up. So you play the trading post, you activate market squares, you play council room, you draw back to the golds. It's really draw intensive because you have to both discard a market square and draw back through the gold. But they've also got a lot of draw here. So with 17 is Yuri. I guess the first thing in my mind is, do I need to take a province here? You might. How many gains does Crabcat have? Crabcat's got 3 workers' villages, 3 council rooms, so that's 7 buys. They've got 4 market squares, which brings it to 11 buys. They do not have a vampire this turn. So Crabcat's deck has 11 gains. And they're looking at only 9 cards left in those piles. And I want to say it currently costs 26 to empty those piles. I'd have to do that math again. I think Crabcat's deck might be able to do 26. I would be seriously thinking about at least one province here. Probably not double province, just because double province feels like it kind of kills your deck. But maybe even double province. Yeah, Crabcat... Oh, that's a good point. Crabcat only has just enough buys for fairies. They have slightly fewer than Yurikamome. So this should definitely put it out of reach. I think one province is probably sufficient. I think that... I could be wrong about that, but I think one province... Then I guess what are you buying? Because if you buy Council Room and Workers' Village, which is part of the cards you really wanted, then you're back to helping them pile out again. So maybe double province is okay. These decks are really scary because they're getting increasingly thick, and you have to find a Council Room on top to kick off. Yuri does manage to do that anyway, though. $3 golds is a bit greedy, but it looks like they're going to be rewarded for their greed. Yeah, so they killed 2 stop cards and added 5, so the deck's a bit thicker than it was before. But they were also overdrawing before. Alright, so here we see the trading post in action. It's weird to me that they've killed their seller. Maybe they just counted up some exact amount of money. Uh, Seller seems like a pretty darn good card here to me. Like a really good card. Obviously, it's really good at the start of your turn. Like we saw Yurikamome last turn it was. Seller saved their turn. But also, like even right here, like getting through the discard pile that's got a bunch of market squares and golds, Seller can help that. You can discard your golds and put those all on the bottom. Yeah, I mean, I guess you had to keep one copper anyway to feed the bat, so it's not a big deal. Hmm. I'm real worried about these decks drawing. They're working, but like, are they really cutting it close? So does CC have to take double? Last turn, Yuri had 17, and then they added 3 golds. So now they're looking at 26 money. I don't think Yurikamome can pile out. I mean, theoretically, maybe if you don't double, then your concern is just they take enough provinces that you can't outscore them. Haka's line sounds fine to me. Double Workers Village Seller. So let me recount that then. Sean Han suggested there might be a pile. Market Square costs them 2. Workers' villages would cost them 9, so that brings it to 11. Counts rooms would cost them 15, which brings you up to 26. 26. Oh, so that's the exact number, isn't it? Okay. So yeah, they might exactly have it then if you don't score. Oh, vampire. Vampire's a thing. Yeah, maybe you do need the duchy. And a bunch more golds. I hope crabcat does not draw a workers' village. I just want to see someone dud, just given how few villages and draw cards they're putting in these decks. Do they need the golds? I mean, I haven't counted up exactly what they were considering buying the following turn, but like their deck already. Now I'm gonna say with some confidence, I don't think Crabcat needed the golds. So Crabcat's got this mid-turn gain thing going on with the trading post already, so they could have gotten the golds this turn, and there's no way they can have enough draw to draw those golds and gain new golds this turn and draw all of that. I don't think. I'm gonna say Crabcat did not need to take the golds. Like you draw your deck first, and then if you have the spare draw, you do that with your trading post. I mean, if you're going out, you could even like trading post your duchy. Like turn like a duchy in a market square or something into a silver. 2 buys. That oh never mind, not 2 buys. 12 buys. I misread that. I was like, wow, how do they only have 2 buys? This is winning. Oh, is it the estate pile out? Ah, that's a nice finish. Okay, Yurikamome equalizes. Going into game 3. What have we here? Well, we've got Transmogrify and Fortress, which is a nice interaction, but the 5s kind of suck. It's not going to do as much as it normally would. Yeah, what are we doing here? There's not a good way to trash coppers. In fact, well, I guess I was about to say there's not any way to trash coppers. Technically, one could trash coppers. If you were to first empty both the curse and the copper pile, and then call Transmogrify on a copper, the copper would just get trashed, and there would be no eligible cards costing one more than it left to gain. So you could, in the most technical of senses, trash your coppers here. For all intents and purposes, there's no way to trash coppers. There's also no good draw. Shantytown can draw, but Shantytown is really bad at drawing. Patrician can draw, but Patrician's really unreliable, especially in decks that can't get rid of their low-value cards like copper. So I don't think that there's much to be built here. So how are we opening? Transmogrify seems clear. I do want to kill the estates. The 3 could be Vassal, Shanty, Silver. Any of those seems fine. I don't think I want Oasis super much. I feel like Oasis is best when you're discarding estates with them. And I do want to kill the estates. Oasis wouldn't be horrible. Do we build the Navigator Vassal? Before thinking about it, the answer's just gotta be no, because it involves Navigator. Navigator's so terrible. Not only in strength, but Navigator's also got some mediocre artwork. I don't think it's the highest quality of the art. There is Populate around, but man, so many of these cards suck. There's 2 villages, but you do get a decent number of terminals with it. Maybe 1 Populate could be fine. I don't think getting to Populate is a central goal of the kingdom. Keldar, this is the Grand Market Grand Prix tournament. We're on game 3 of 4. Oh, well, never mind then. I rescind my answer. It's some unknown match for unclear purposes. So, crabcat is just like really a lot better than Yurikamome at drawing the cards that they need to draw turn 3. Like, consistently, Crabcat's gotten the good turn 3 draw, and Yurikamome has not. Here, the significant card is Transmogrify. T-Mog is a good deal better if you find it turn 3 than turn 4. Because if you find it turn 3, you put it down turn 3, you call it turn 4, you trash an estate, and then to him back into your shuffle next shuffle. Whereas, even if you find it turn 4 and it doesn't miss the shuffle entirely, you put it down, then you shuffle your deck, and then you call it turn 5, but by that point you've already shuffled and it's missed the next shuffle. So turn 3 Transmogrify is like a pretty substantial improvement, I would say, over turn 4 Transmogrify, which is what Yurikamome had. Not just any cat kilohertz, crabcat. The second. Buying Fortress. I could see taking Fortress. Uh, I don't think I'm super into doing it until my estates are trashed, because those are my main transmogrify target. Yeah, I don't mind. I don't want rogues. Rogue has the potential to be friendly if your opponent's got fortresses in their decks. Your rogue draws them a card because it hits their fortress, and then they just put it in their hand, and then that's no good. Villain's weak. Villain is by no means a strong card, but in Terrible Money Kingdoms, it's probably where it shines the most, because the discard attack will kind of hurt, and also coffers are kind of nice when you're just playing the like how often can I hit 8 game, because if you hit 7, you can spend a coffer. This is kind of cute. I don't know if it's worth it or not. They trashed a transmogrified to gain a rogue, and then playing the rogue, they got it back. I think it might be worth it. I mean, the rogue, if nothing else, it gave you 2 coins, and so it let you buy a fortress. I guess that's a neat little interaction. Like, not that I want rogue in my deck that badly, but in that situation, it did kind of work out. Villain now, perhaps? Scouting party. I don't know. If it's between Rogue and the Navigator Vassal combo, I'm sorry, Haka. I think I'm siding with Rogue on that one. If Rogue could gain 8 cost cards from the trash, then it would seem like a great card, because you could transmogrify your province into province and then Rogue that back. That would be nice, but I can't. Why is so many Oases? I feel like Oasis is not a very good card here. It just seems really bad, actually. Am I missing something? How is Oasis any good here? Activate your shantytown, I guess, by discarding your other actions? I'm not a fan of the mass Oasis strategy that we are apparently pursuing. I don't think it needs more shantytown. Like, 1 shantytown can be good pretty often, because you can just play it last and you get the 2 draw. 2 shantytowns, maybe. If you find them in opposite halves of the shuffle, then you can be good. The more shantytowns you get, the more they start to look like just bad Necropolis is... If it was between gold and Shantytown in this kingdom, I would take a gold. If those were the options presented to me. Yeah, I don't get what the Oasis is doing at all. If the goal is to get one more draw, then just Patrician or Vassal would be better. Wait a second. Wait a second. Last turn, crabcat2 was gaining these oases off of the fortress. Now they're just turning the oasis back into fortress. Why don't you just gain fortress directly? I don't think these oases make any sense. How is the Oasis Pilot 2? I'm not convinced that that card should have been touched. Maybe once. Maybe like the first estate you transmogrify. If you already got a shanty town, that one can maybe become an Oasis. One of them. I'm not even totally sure there's any point in the game that Vassal is worse than Oasis. If there is, it's probably for like a brief sliver of time, circa like turn 3 to turn 5 or so. Maybe Oasis is a little bit better. What's the transmogrify count? I wonder if that's relevant. So CY, 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 Y. So 4 3, 4 4, 5 5. I believe it's split 5 5. If I'm not mistaken. I think Yurikamome has gained 6 to crabcat's 5, but also trashed 1. The T-Mongs are pretty useful here. I think it's quite reasonable that they piled so early. They're like probably the best card in this kingdom by a good margin. Not only can you mill provinces, but also turning fortresses into duchies is kind of a nice way to score some points. So we're talking about scoring with Emporium. You first empty the patrician half of the patrician Emporium pile, so the Emporia are overcovered. And then you transmogrify Fortress into Emporium. But if you do that with your first transmogrify, there's only one card in play, and you don't get any points. So you'd call 4 transmogrifies to get... it doesn't really matter which cards, but the 5th transmogrify you call, you can get points off of it. Alternatively, you could transmogrify Fortress into Emporium, turn the Emporium into a Rogue, and then later in your turn, Rogue the Emporium back from the trash, and then that would score you 2 points. Point Luna is discussing encampment plunder synergies. I feel like it's pretty rare that I want plunders more than encampments. There must have been something special about that kingdom. If I could cover up the encampments with a plunder, I would consider sending a plunder back to the pile. Goodbye, rogue. Why are we trashing the rogue anyway? Why aren't we killing the Oasis? What? How is Oasis a better card than Rogue? I can't think of any cards in the supply that cost 6, Steph. Yeah, I'm I'm in agreement with John. For some reason, we really like Oases this game, and I'm confused as to why. Yeah, it's a bad sign. It's a real bad sign. Maybe I need to reevaluate my take. Maybe we like Oases after all. Oh, perfect. Johnson's helped me out. So Johnson's decided that Oasis is good, so I can continue hating it. Yeah, Oasis is the worst here. It's not the worst. There's Embargo. It can always be worse. There's also Navigator. Okay, Oasis is like the third worst. I would take Vassal over Oasis here, I think. Depends on the card. Different cards do different things. So, for example, Fortress is really good with trash for benefit, where you can trash it, get whatever benefit there is, and then get it back. So you often look for synergies like Transmogrify, which trashes things and gives you benefit. This is just a sad kingdom. The longer this game goes, the sadder I get. I don't like this kingdom. We're getting really close to pile-out territory. Duchies are at 2, and fortresses are at 2, and there's a third card that shall not be named at 2. And they do have some gains with these Transmogrifies. And so I'm thinking a likely scenario is the winner here is whoever snags these duchies and then can manage a pile out. Rogue could potentially hit duchy. The trash is empty. Rogue could also hit fortress. Yeah, that's a good point, Luna. What these decks are suffering from here is an abundance of cash. They're just overflowing with money from all these oases. It is funny that the big things of this game are all going to happen, for the most part, at the very start of the turn when you're choosing whether and what to transmogrify. So Jonathan's suggestion is turn duchy into duchy, turn transmogrify into duchy. That scores you 3 points. And then, are you going to lower a pile? Or are you going to take like the 9th oasis after that? Crabcat has one transmogrify. So they could potentially beat that if they gain a oasis and then buy province. So I'm thinking probably don't take the oasis. I'm missing a few steps, Psychomatic, as to how you get from gaining an oasis to buying populate. We can't even escape the oases. Poor Yurikamome trashed the oasis, and the rogue just put it right back in their deck. It's like some cursed item you can't get rid of. I like this line that Yurikamome has taken. How do you beat this as Crabcat? I think you just take 2... Oh, you can't take 2 estates, can you? You only have 1 transmogrify? Yeah, I was going to say take 2 estates and pray you hit province somehow. But... well, they only have 2 gains, not 3. That's true. They could... There is a possible win here. If you hit duchy, which they didn't. So now Yuri just wins shanty to fortress, buy an estate. They didn't really need to play that villain. They already have 2 money in hand. Well, you see, Point Luna, sometimes people make bad decisions. And then sometimes their opponents see them make bad decisions and think, that must be a good decision. I'm going to copy that. And then they get reaffirmed in their decisions and do more of that. And it's just this vicious cycle. And then all of a sudden, Oasis are at 2. I'll have you know I'm undefeated in this tournament so far. If you don't schedule your matches, you can't lose round. Alright, what have we got going on here? The only village is Squire, which is a little bit awkward. The only draw is Haunted Woods. So, for example, one Squire and two Haunted Woods in your deck together costs 12 and draws you one card per turn. So that suggests to me that the spirits are going to be kind of important. Will-O-Wisp and Imp might be the most effective draw here. And maybe you just play with a pair of Haunted Woods to kickstart your turn. And, Butcher and Baker are both kind of money-ish cards, so you maybe don't need to build that big. I mean, you're building a bit, but you don't. You might green on the earlier side for an engine. I also think Merchant looks kind of good. Again, just given the sort of limitedness of draw, I would not mind Merchants as payload. Freaky's takes are intriguing to me. I mean, I agree Butcher's a much better card than Baker is. But I would say that is because it is in fact a very powerful card. Now, do we open it here? What are we opening? We both have we have the 3/4 and the 4/3. The opening here is not at all clear to me. On 4/3, I really like Exorcist. I feel like Exorcist is a card that I want pretty badly here. I really want spirits. I'm thinking on 4/3, I'm like Exorcist Expedition, maybe? On 3/4, I don't know. I have no idea what I want in 3/4. I'm not forgetting the coffer. I don't see an effective way to spin the coffer. How early are you getting Haunted Woods? I mean, maybe, like, do you see your opponent open Exorcist and then you open Haunted Woods? I feel like that's too early for that to be valuable. Plus, I mean, I can buy Expedition or Seaway in the short term and then butcher the Exo later. For context, if Haunted Woods is in play, whenever you buy stuff, you top deck all your cards when you do that. And usually that's kind of like a mild attack, because all of your actions and money will be in play by that point, and it just top decks like a few victory cards, which hurts a bit, but like isn't the end of the world. Haunted Woods is a pretty strong counter to night cards if you get it in play, because night cards have to be played after the buy phase, and so if you top deck your night cards before you play them, you can't play them. But Haunted Woods is not the card I want super early. An Exorcist is a card I'm mostly playing kind of early. You can also circumvent the attack by buying an event, which is technically not a card. I'm now getting behind. Jontz likes how Crabcat has played this. I don't know how Crabcat has played this. Butcher Expedition, okay. Into Junk Dealer, into a second Junk Dealer. Yeah, it's looking pretty good to me. I can get behind what Crabcat's been doing. I haven't thought about it all that much. I just read the log for 10 seconds, but what I read looked good. I liked that line. I'll be back momentarily. Alrighty, I am back. I'm kind of behind on what's going on in this game. There seems to be some dispute as to whether we should have killed Squire. Squire is the only village, and so killing it can be sad. But there's also some high-value attacks. And by some, I mean one. But, like, turning a Squire into a Haunted Woods is Not bad. Merchant is cheaper than Peddler, or Baker, in that case. Oh, is that the other Haunted Woods on the bottom? That's tragic. Obviously, crabcat strategy is in large part involving playing a Haunted Woods each turn. Now they bottom decked one of them. Taking a merchant. Do we have a silver yet? We don't. So I assume crabcat is going to buy a silver here. They might also be trying to gain one off of... No. I mean, you can gain a silver off of Squire, but they don't currently have the draw to do that. At least in the following turn, because they don't have 100 woods down. Kiln feels like more than this deck can reasonably do right now. Like, you need a decent bit of actions and draw to justify spending your terminal space on Kiln. I believe, someone may correct me here, but I believe the cards that just give +1 card, +1 action, +1 coin get dubbed Peddler, because Peddler was chronologically the first of them. And that while both Poacher and Merchant are in the base set, they're only in the 2nd edition base set, which came out after Peddler came out. Double Expedition. Yurikamome is just playing without Haunted Woods, and that seems wrong to me. I like how crabcat's deck looks. Well, Freaky, if you played both of the Haunted Woods, you would have an imbalance of duration cards, which is all but forfeiting the game, essentially. They cannot see type point Luna. Spectator chat can be turned on or off. An easy way to tell whether it's turned on or off is to look at the box where you would put the text. If it says message spectators, that means your message only goes to other spectators. If it just says the word message, that means the players will receive it as well. I see what Freaky is suggesting. It's not only is it important to manage your duration balance, but also your expedition balance. And you have to use both of those in conjunction to achieve maximum balance. The little symbol thing, Schmitz, is the Seaway token. If you buy Seaway, you put a token on a pile, and any card from that pile gives you +5 from there on out. And so the blue one signifies that Crabcat, who is player 2 and therefore in blue, has their Seaway token on Merchant. And the red one means Yurikamome has it on Squire. You want to get to a point where you can spend 3 on Expedition each turn, right? I feel like in a large majority of cases, Expedition is a tactical thing, where you're buying it on a certain turn, not just like as your main source of draw every single turn. There can be exceptions to that, but you need a pretty efficient source of money and a lack of efficient sources of draw. So, for example, Courtier was a good target. Like, imagine Courtier was in this kingdom, which gives +3 coins, +1 buy, and +1 action if you reveal it with, if you use Haunted Woods with it. Courtier could afford, like, every Courtier you play is like a free expedition. And so Courtier would take up one spot in your hand and buy you a +2 card event. And so you could, like, reliably draw your deck just using Courtier and Expedition. And so, like, that's a case where you could build a deck around Expedition draw. Or with, like, maybe Bank and a bunch of plus buy. Like, if you had a bunch of market squares and banks, you could afford to buy a bunch of Expeditions and draw a bunch. But in general, paying $3 on a buy every turn for 2 draw is... It's on the weak side if you're doing it every single turn. Because that's pretty taxing your deck. But it's most often used just, like, situationally in points where it would be strong. Like kickstarting an early turn when you don't want a silver. Or in the in-game. Like, in the in-game, Expedition can also be very good. And the easy way to think about it is, like, if you buy a lab, each time you play the lab is +1 draw. And so for a lab to give you +2 draw, you have to buy it and then play it twice. Whereas Expedition give you +2 draw immediately. And so in, like, late in the game, when buying another card like lab or something is unlikely to give you that much benefit because the game's close to over, Expedition, which is a one-shot thing, might just be more valuable. The problem with this kingdom is the lack of Oasis. Because that's the arena in which these two players truly excel. You put an Oasis in this kingdom and they'd go hog wild. What even is the match score? I've already forgotten. Who won the last game? It's 2-1 for Yurikamome, I think. Don't quote me on that. That's a good thing to do. One of the most common mistakes newer players make is buying gold too much. The other is buying province too early. Are we piling here? No. I'm not seeing what pile we're looking at. It sure looks like they're trying to 3-pile, but I'm not seeing how they do that. Does crabcat just win here? Do they have enough gains for that? I feel like crabcat could do 8 estates, right? So crabcat's got 4 merchants, which is 4 buys. More than that, they've got 5, 6. They got 6, 7 buys. This has got to be enough, right? I don't even want to count it. This just has to be enough. I'm going to be honest. I much prefer the name Estate Lord for Baron. I'll have to call it that in the future. Do they not have 16? So they got 6 from merchants, 2 from silver. That's 8. They got 3 from squire. Oh, maybe they're cutting it close on money. And they only need 14 because they can butcher it into estate. Let me count this again. 8 from merchants and silver, 3 from squire. That's 11. 12 from junk dealer. Yeah, this is a win. This is definitely a win. Freaky, are you looking at the curse pile out, I take it? Yeah, so Freaky wants to pile out curses and take one more province. That also should work. Just pick your pile out. Crabcat wants the estate pile out. Fair enough. All right. I believe that was a 2-2 final score. Not even 100% sure, but I want to say that was a nice even finish. All right, well, that's the match.